Comfort is one of the most dangerous places you can live in. I'm not talking about your couch at home or your favorite chair on the porch. I'm talking about that mental state where you think you've made it, where you believe the game is over and the trophy is yours forever. See, life don't work like that. Business don't work like that. Nations don't work like that. The moment you think you can't be beaten, that's the moment somebody, somewhere, is working in silence to beat you. It's a universal law of competition. The top spot is never permanent. The king of the hill always has challengers climbing up from every side. The sad part is, the one at the top usually doesn't even see the danger because they're too busy celebrating their position instead of defending it. History is filled with stories of people, companies, and even whole countries that got knocked down. Not because they weren't strong, but because they got comfortable. Comfort blinds you. It makes you slow. It makes you predictable. And in a world where the hustle never sleeps, being predictable is like walking into a boxing ring with your hands tied behind your back. Think about it. Every great champion had a hungry challenger in the shadows. Every industry leader had a scrappy startup studying their every move. Every nation at the peak of power had rivals quietly sharpening their tools. Why? Because hunger drives innovation. Hunger builds discipline. Hunger keeps you sharp. The hungry will work while you sleep, study while you party, and make moves while you sit there thinking you've already won. That's the trap. Comfort whispers, relax, you've got this, while competition is screaming, I'm coming for you. The moment you buy into that whisper, you stop pushing, you stop learning, you stop preparing. And here's the thing, the ones who want your seat, they never stop. They don't care how long you've been there or how big your reputation is. They're not intimidated by your history. They're focused on your present weakness. Look at the business world. Companies that once ruled the market disappeared because they thought they were untouchable. They laughed at smaller competitors, ignored new technology, and kept doing things the way they've always been done. By the time they realized the world had changed, it was too late. Somebody else was sitting in their seat. The same thing happens in sports, in politics, and in personal life. The minute you think your spot is guaranteed, you're already in danger of losing it. Even nations fall into this trap. They believe their dominance is forever, that their influence is unshakable. But while they're basking in their own glory, others are hustling behind the scenes, building alliances, securing resources, mastering technology, and planning moves that will catch the giant off guard. When the giant finally wakes up, the game is already halfway over. So how do you keep your seat? You stay hungry even when you're full. You stay curious even when you think you know it all. You watch the field, study your competition, and never assume they can't catch up. You guard your position like somebody's always trying to take it. Because they are. I'll tell you something I've learned in my own life. Success is rented, not owned. And the rent is due every single day. You've got to pay it with work, with awareness, and with humility. The moment you skip a payment, somebody else is ready to move in. Don't mistake comfort for security. Comfort is a trap dressed like a blessing. It feels good, it looks good, but it can cost you everything. Stay sharp, stay ready. Because whether you're running a business, leading a team, or standing at the head of a powerful nation, One fact remains the same. There's always somebody planning to eat your lunch. And if you're not careful, they won't just take your lunch, they'll take your whole table. People love to talk about money like it's just numbers on a page or zeros in a bank account. But money, real money, is so much more than that. It's leverage. It's influence. It's the quiet voice in the room that ends up making the loudest decisions. See, the 120 billion ain't just a figure you read in some news headline. That's a shift in power. That's a seat at the big table where the real deals get made. And here's the truth: the one holding the checkbook often calls the shots. And if you're not the one writing those checks, chances are you're just sitting there cashing reality instead of shaping it. You've got to understand the way money works beyond the basics. People think it's about how much you have, but it's really about what you can do with what you have. That's where leverage comes in. Leverage means control. It means you can turn opportunities your way, set the terms, and influence outcomes. Without it, you're reacting to life instead of directing it. Now let's put 120 billion into perspective. That amount can build entire cities, shift global markets, fund research that changes industries, or buy enough influence to tilt political landscapes. That's not just cash, that's power. And power in the wrong hands can change the direction of history. Power in the right hands can do the same thing, just in a better way. But here's what people forget: big moves aren't always about having the most money, but about knowing how to use it strategically. In business, the player with leverage dictates the game. If you're the one investing, people return your calls first. If you're the one bankrolling the project, you get to decide how the project runs. That's not arrogance. That's just the way the world works. In politics, how the group with the resources funds campaigns, shapes policy, and steers conversations. In everyday life, the person with financial stability has more freedom to make choices without fear of falling apart the next month. And this is why 120 billion is a wake-up call, not because it's a flashy number, but because of the influence that comes with it. Money can buy speed. It can buy time. It can buy access. And access is priceless. The one with the checkbook doesn't just buy things, they buy options. And in a competitive world, options are everything. Now here's where it gets real. If you're not holding that kind of leverage, you're probably on the other end of the deal. You're the one adapting to someone else's decisions. You're the one hoping for favorable terms instead of setting them. And while that may sound unfair, it's the truth that has been running the world since the first trade was made. Think of money like a chessboard. Without pieces, you're not playing, you're watching. With a few pieces, you're making small moves. But with 120 billion worth of pieces, you're shaping the whole game. You're deciding which pieces even make it onto the board. That's why people with that level of resources don't just react to events. They create them. So what's the takeaway? You've got to start thinking about money as a tool, not just a trophy. If you're chasing it only to spend it, you're missing the point. The real win is in building it so you can use it to position yourself where the decisions are made. And no, you don't need 120 billion to have leverage, but you do need enough resources to stop living at the mercy of somebody else's checkbook. Because the truth is, in every major deal, somebody is holding the pen and somebody is signing on the dotted line. The one with the pen writes the future. The one signing just agrees to it. So you've got to ask yourself, which one are you? Money ain't just numbers. It's the steering wheel of power. And the day you start seeing it that way is the day you stop just cashing reality and start shaping it. The most dangerous defeat you'll ever face isn't the one you fought hard against and lost. It's the one you never even saw coming. That's because when you don't know you're in a game, you're not even playing defense. You're just standing there, wide open, while somebody else is making moves right under your nose. And when the scoreboard finally lights up, you realize you were losing the whole time without even knowing the game had started. See, in life, business, politics, even relationships, the other side doesn't always have to be stronger to beat you. They just have to be smarter. Smarter means they study the field while you're relaxing. Smarter means they plan 2 steps ahead while you're still thinking about today. Smarter means they're moving faster and quieter, so you don't even know they're building momentum until it's too late. That's how real wins happen. They're not always loud. They're not always flashy. Sometimes they're silent until the moment of checkmate. The people who win like that understand one thing. Surprise is a weapon. If you can catch your opponent unprepared, you've already got half the victory in your pocket. This is why you've got to stay alert. Even when you think the coast is clear. Especially then, comfort and routine will trick you into thinking nothing is changing. But somewhere out there, somebody is changing the rules while you're still playing by the old ones. They're rewriting the playbook, and you won't realize it until you've already lost your advantage. Think about sports. Some of the most shocking upsets in history didn't happen because the underdog was stronger. They happened because the favorite assumed the win was guaranteed. They didn't adapt. They didn't prepare for the unexpected. And by the time they realized the game had shifted, the scoreboard told a story they didn't want to hear. The same thing happens in business. Entire industries have been blindsided by smaller, hungrier competitors. Those giants weren't taken down by brute force. They were taken down by innovation, agility, and strategy. The big player was comfortable. The smaller player was strategic. And when the play came, it was quick, precise, and irreversible. On the global stage, the stakes are even higher. Nations have lost influence, markets, and power not because their rivals were visibly stronger, but because those rivals were making quiet, strategic moves, securing resources, building alliances, investing in technology, all while keeping it under the radar. And by the time the big dog realized what happened, the game had already shifted in the other side's favor. So what's the lesson here? You can't just play the game you see. You've got to watch for the game you don't see. You've got to anticipate plays before they happen. That means staying informed, reading between the lines, and never assuming the absence of noise means the absence of movement. Awareness is your defense. Preparation is your offense. If you're not scanning the horizon for threats and opportunities, you're going to get blindsided. And getting blindsided hurts worse than a fair fight because there's no time to brace for impact. You've got to learn how to think like the competition. Ask yourself, if I wanted to beat me, how would I do it? That question alone will open your eyes to vulnerabilities you never noticed before. Once you see them, you can protect them. Because here's the truth. Every game changes. Rules change. Players change. Strategies change. And if you don't notice the shift, you'll be standing still while everyone else is moving ahead. That's how you lose without even knowing you were in danger. The worst loss isn't just painful, it's humbling. It teaches you that because you can't see the play doesn't mean it isn't happening. So stay sharp, stay ready. Because the next game-changing move could already be in motion right now. And if you're not looking, you'll only